Well, time is a moving image of eternity, right? And therefore, it's in a special region. See, in the intellectual pure being, these things are eternal. If there is eternal, then there must be something that embraces it all, and that's eternity. Just like anything, any other class of things has a number of things in the class is always higher than the members. So to answer your question, which I hope I did. All right. What's encountered? He says, you know what's encountered? He says, first of all, he says, we don't understand our condition. That's the problem on this earth. We don't understand our condition. And as soon as we realize that, he said, everything will be much better. So let's get to the view of earth. What did we say with earth? There's going to be a higher aspect of earth that's common both to heaven and earth. So therefore, he says, where we live in a chasm, right? And it's full of brine, salt waters and fogs and mists. And we don't know it. We take it to be a pure, of course we understand it because we call it smog, right? Right? He says, here on our earth there's nothing perfect. Our trees, flowers, fruits, and precious stones, they're only samples. They're not real. They're only fragments. He said, if we can ever raise ourselves up, as you can see in this beautiful picture, right, and stick our head up out of that brine, which corrodes everything, we would be astonished at what we could see. Now, that's the upper earth, or the lower heaven. He said, but you have to be strong enough to bear the light. He said, what you would discover is that there is, in fact, a true heaven, a true light, and a true earth. Now he makes a series of contrasts between these two in order to keep making the point, right, that what we would say is that this world, the higher world, is the source of and the model for the world we live in, which is a copy. This is the archetype, this is the copy. We live in the archetype. Pardon me, we live in the copy. He said there the colors are brighter, pure, purple, golden, white, and others. Everything there in this heaven is transparent, more lively. There we'll encounter temples in which they are gods, and we could then have intercourse with the gods, communication with the gods through speech, prophecies, visions. He said, life really is, and he has this analogy. As the water and the sea is, in that region, ether is to air. Hey, look here. What air is to us in our world, what we need to live and to breathe, brings us vitality. In their world, ether exists for them. Therefore, they're in an ethereal world where ether and air is primary, as water and the sea with all its corrosion and properties of decay are our world. There is true wisdom there. And he says, this is such a magnificently beautiful and pure state that he has this very wonderful statement about it. He says, look here, if anybody could catch a sight of this, if you could catch a sight of this, the very sight of it would make the person who looks upon it blessed. It's the source of the divine, man. Right? Want to be blessed by participating on this level of experience. Now, this is what he says. This is the real heaven. Right? This is where we live. We have to know about that difference. He said, now look here, what happens then? We're all led to judgment. And he has something very interesting. He has 4 rivers and several lakes. And I can talk about that in a few minutes, but, well, okay. Let me do it for a moment quickly. Those people that have committed sacrilege against the gods, those people that have performed wicked murders, they go to Tartarus, the river Tartarus, which is at the bottom of it all, and that's where they stay for an indefinite period of time. The same people who've committed those crimes under passion, they can stay there usually a year or so, and then the wave tosses them out to the river Cactus. Those who have, however, outraged their parents and have repented and have tried to make amends, tried to understand it, they go to the river Pyphlegethon. Those that go to Cactus, those are the ones that committed their crimes under passion, right? They have to deal with this lake that the river pours into, the lake and river called Styx. There, they're fearful powers. It's terribly cold, and that begins to be the arena of punishment. Just as Pyphlegethon, the punishment for those is through heat. After then, people have satisfied what it is that's going on in their souls. When they finally get to the Arcturian lake, then they are cathartic, they purified themselves, and they're ready to be reborn. Now, those who've lived a life where they lived neither well nor ill, no real great crimes, good lives, but not philosophy, or they haven't really challenged their spirit in the quest for wisdom, they end up in that same river, Arcturion, and there they get the rewards for the goods that they have done, and any negative they have to pay off, and then they quickly become into that pool for rebirth. Now, everybody, especially the people who have had vast crimes, they have to be in this terrible lake. And as these souls go by, anyone who has been cruel, murdered people, they have to cry and plead with those souls when they finally do come by and ask forgiveness from the very persons they have done in. If they have to wait again and again and again and again until the person says, okay, you're out, and then they can then go to the pool to be reborn. Notice the kind of crimes. It's a very interesting kind of crimes. It's so different than the Ten Commandments. It's very different. Right? The most heinous crimes, sacrilege against the gods, wicked murderers, right? Those who've done many murders. Right? Then the other extreme, those who have done the same things under an act of passion, but have tried to deal with it later in their lives. Two groups. Then those people who neither did will nor they lived okay. They did some things right, some things wrong. All right, no Ten Commandments. No eternal hell for breaking particular laws. But you have to pay for both right and wrong. And that's where the books are kept. So, look here. I'd like to now get into a problem. Right? We need a heresy.